This is one of the review problems that I wanted to go over real quickly before the exam. And this is the original function, f of x equals x squared minus 6x plus 5. And we're going to have to go ahead and put it in standard form, which is f of x equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k, which tells us then that the vertex is h and k. And so it allows us to identify that minimum or maximum point a little bit easier. The way that we do that is through completing the square, and we complete the square by grouping our x squared and our x terms and adding a blank with those, putting any other numbers outside, and subtracting that blank. The reason we add a blank and subtract a blank is because if you add 2 and subtract 2, it's a net change of 0. And so that's what we're doing. We're adding a blank and subtracting a blank. Now the question is what goes into that blank? And the way that we figure that out is we take this middle number, this -6, and we divide it by 2, which in this case would be -3, and then we square it. -3 squared is +9. So we take the -6, divide by 2, and square it, and that gives us 9. And so 9 goes in the blank, 9 also goes in that blank. So here we're adding 9, here we're subtracting 9, and now we're just going to factor what's in these parentheses. And it always turns out to be x, and then this number divided by 2, which is -3 squared minus 4. Because 5 and -9 is minus 4. So this here is in standard form. Now what does that do for us? Well, it tells us the parabola opens up because this is a +1 right there, and so that means it opens up. We also know the vertex is 3, -4, which is helpful to know. Because we know that the graph opens up, this is also our minimum point. And our minimum value is the y value of that. So minimum value is -4. And that occurs when x is 3. And so we just kind of took this vertex and said the minimum value is the y value, and that occurs at the x value. The other things that we can identify are the x and the y-intercepts. The y-intercept's real easy based on our initial formula up here, f of x equals x squared minus 6x plus 5, because that's when x is 0. And so if I do f of 0, I get 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 5, which is really just 5. And so our y-intercept is 0, 5. And we also go back to the original function to find the x-intercepts. And so I go here and I say, all right, x-intercepts. X-intercept happens when we let f of x equals 0. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. If I factor this, I get x minus 5 and x minus 1. Those are all equal to 0. And then I set those each equal to 0. So 0 equals x minus 5 and 0 equals x minus 1. And solving for x, I get x equals 5 and I get x equals 1. Those are x-intercepts. Now to put it all together, we can bring it up here and we can say, okay, well there's an x-intercept at 1, x-intercept at 5, y-intercept at 5, vertex at 3, 1, 2, 3, -4. We know the axis of symmetry goes through those points. And so now I just fill in the rest, and here's my parabola. Now the only other things I could ask you about this is what are the domain and range? And we all know the domain for quadratics is all real numbers. So I put -infinity to +infinity. And we know the range goes from the lowest y value to the highest y value. And so here, this is our lowest y value at -4, and it keeps going up forever, so that would go up to positive infinity. And so we'd say -4 to infinity. So that's about all we can do with this. Now there's one other tricky part, and that's if there's a number in front of this x squared. And if there's a number in front of the x squared, when we set it up to do completing the square, we factor it out of the x squared next term. So in this case, it'd be x squared plus 6x plus blank plus 5 minus blank blank. And I put 2 blanks there because I know that I have to do something here. So again, what number goes here? Half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9, same as before. But in reality, I'm not adding 9 here, I'm adding 2 times 9, which is 18. So over here, I need to subtract 18. So again, this half number of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. I don't put a 9 here in this blank because I'm doing 2 times 9, which is 18. When I factor, it becomes 2 times x plus 3 squared. 5 minus 18 is -13. And that's our function. And again, from there, we can say that it opens up because of the 2. So we can say the vertex, which is also a minimum because it opens up, is -3, -13, because we do the opposite of this, same as that. So I hope that helped, and good luck studying.